While the MLB season is still in its early stages, there are still many notable stars that are causing worry for many. In this video, I'll be going over 9 MLB players that are massively struggling up till this point. Starting off with Randy Arozarena of the Tampa Bay Rays, who's simply put just been one of the worst hitters in all of baseball up till this point. Randy is currently hitting under a $150 with a whopping 37 strikeouts and just 3 homers. Arozarena has always been a streaky hitter throughout his career, making it likely that this is just one of his inevitable slumps. His expected numbers are indeed better than what is shown on the surface, however they are still poor for the most part. The entire Rays lineup has basically been a mess thus far, but I wouldn't expect that to last much longer. Randy is still a legit MLB talent and someone that is bound to catch fire sooner rather than later. Next up is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Toronto Blue Jays, who was massively underperformed early on this season. Vlad is just hitting .230 with a mere 3 home runs while only driving in 11, hitting in a private spot for the Jays. Vlad has still been hitting the ball hard, but it's mostly been into the ground as his ground ball problems have surfaced once again. Similar to Tampa Bay, the entire Jays lineup has been largely unproductive outside of just a couple players, so this is more than just an individual issue. While we may never see again the Vlad that was a superstar in 2021, I highly doubt that he continues to hit this poorly for the rest of the season. Once this lineup begins to heat up, I bet that Vlad will as well, so stick with him. Moving on to Corbin Carroll now, the cornerstone outfielder for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Carrol was once one of the major reasons the D-backs made the World Series last season, but in 2024 so far, he's been a total mess. He's hitting under .200 with only 1 home run and just 5 runs driven in. Carrol has also been dropped deep in the order around the 8th spot due to his struggles and yet has just continued to struggle in that spot as well. Notable shoulder problems going back to last year could potentially be to blame as his exit velocities sit among the worst in the sport. This is still such a talented player I'm talking about though, and even if he's only a 15 homer guy going forward, that's still a really great player with his other abilities. Next up is the first and only pitcher on the list, and that's San Diego Padres starter Joe Musgrove. Musgrove has long been known for his consistency on the mound, typically dodging blow-up starts and keeping his team in close games. However, that's far from what's happened early on this season. Musgrove holds nearly an ERA of 7 as has been blown up in 4 of his starts this year. His walk rate has been way up and has given up more hard contact so far than in years past. Musgrove has suffered some major injuries over the past couple seasons, so that could be a part of the problem here as I doubt his skills are rapidly declining at the age of just 31. It will obviously take a lot of work for Musgrove to work his numbers back to his usual, but I expect him to get there by season's end. Matt Olson is the next known star on this list, the slugger for the Atlanta Braves. Just like last season, Matt Olson has struggled once again in the early going, posting an average barely above .200 with limited power and just 3 home runs. He's striking out a whole bunch, and when he has put the ball in play, he hasn't had much to show for it. Everyone knows just how good Matt Olson is when everything is clicking, and while he's been pretty terrible so far, I have no reason to expect that to continue. Olson is right smack in the middle of a monster lineup, and it's only a matter of time before the numbers start piling up. I still think he gets to 40 homers with an average around .250 by the end of the 2024 campaign. Moving on to another struggling Blue Jay hitter now, it's none other than Bichette. Bichette has arguably been even worse than Guerrero up to this point in the season, hitting right around the .200 mark with just 1 homer to go with it. Like I mentioned before, the entire Jays lineup is struggling heavily right now, and a guy like Bo comes as a surprise as he's known for putting up consistent numbers throughout his career. Due to Bichette's mature approach at the plate with his ability to fight off pitches and battle in counts, I think that at any moment hits will start dropping for him and his numbers will level out as a result. He may not be the superstar that he once was a couple years back, but Bichette is still a really great player that just isn't living up to expectations early on. My next hitter on the struggling stars list is the oldest of the group, and that's Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie has been nothing short of a disaster almost a quarter way through the year as his strikeout rate has increased, resulting in an unusual .225 average for him. He's also flashed limited power with just a single home run and hasn't been able to drive in runs with runners on base. To me though, this is a completely different situation compared to the others on the list as Goldschmidt is 36 years old after all, and the bottom may simply just be falling out for him. While his exit velocities are right in line with his career norms, Goldie has been far less selective with his pitches and going after some questionable ones. While I have faith in the others turning around their season, I don't know if I can quite say the same for him. One guy that was a popular breakout candidate that has been majorly struggling thus far is Onal Cruise of the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's to no one's surprise at this point that Onal Cruise has all the intangibles to be an awesome player, and we saw his clear upside during spring training. However, in the early going, Cruise has looked like a completely different player as his strikeout rate that was once thought to be improving has ultimately caught up to him once again. While his surface numbers don't look too terrible with 4 homers, 3 stolen bases, and a respectable .240 average, that also comes with an eye-popping 36% strikeout rate that suggests that his average could actually have been much worse. Since Cruise obviously has all the talent in the world though, one would bet that he still figures it out. When he finally puts it all together, he will be one of the most exciting players in the MLB to watch. And finally, the last player on my struggling stars list is longtime stud Nick Castellanos of the Philadelphia Phillies. Casty, as he's known, has been an absolute black hole for the Phillies this season, hitting a .180 with only 2 homers and just single-digit RBIs. His strikeout rate has remained high and his quality of contact metrics have dropped off considerably. He's now been hitting 7th or lower in the Phillies lineup as they try to remain hopeful that he figures it out without placing him into a pressure spot. Entering his mid-30s now, it's fair to wonder if this is simply just the start of the decline for him. After all, a player with his plate discipline is known to fall off faster than others as the age increases. While I don't think he will be this bad all year, I'm not exactly sure we see the Castellanos of years past either. And with that being said, that wraps up my struggling hitters list in the early going. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.